What is happening, Carib Boys and girls? This is your boy Carib Boy with another Pokemon TCG talk. How are you going? I hope everyone is well. I hope you are doing good. Now, what we want to talk about today? Well, we just had release the newest set, the newest expansion, Evolving Skies. I hope all your busting open packs, and getting all your great pulls, all you getting the cards, all you want to play, all you getting the cards, all you want to come all you getting the cards, all you want to play, all you getting the cards, all you want to collect. Yes, I wish that on everybody opening Evolving Skies right now. And what we want to talk about today? Well, looking at the sets, I always wanted to do a sort of video where I would go over my choices for the top cards in every set. And I decided to make this a new series. Well, I want to start with the most recent set, Evolving Skies. And today's video, we want to talk about Carib Boy's top 10 playable cards of Evolving Skies. Now, heed the title. It is Carib Boy's top 10. It might not be your top 10, but it is my top 10 because in some cases, it really applied to me in terms of the decks that I play in and probably cards that would help out my decks and my type of play. All right. So, trying to get right along into it, I want to start with number 10. Coming in at number 10 for Carib Boy's most playable cards in Evolving Skies goes to the Raladon V Max. Yes, the Raladon comes in with a high HP of 330, not the highest we've seen, but he comes in at 330 at Dragon type. He has the ability Skyscraper, which kind of ironic, because he's a Skyscraper. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon that have special energy attached. Now, in the meta, that is a serious thing. A lot of Pokemon jumping in the dance with special energy. Probably with Shadow Rider and them, not so much now. But back to in the battle styles format, you have a lot of that. So that could be a scene, right? It has the attack for 1 fighting and 2 metal. G-Max pulverization. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So right now, that busting shooting like Zamazenta and Decidueye, they can't stand a chance. For 220 damage to that hitting most Vs, if not all, right? Zamazenta go stand up, but that is like one in few, right? So 220 damage for 3 energy, that real good. I actually built this deck in PTCGO. I was lucky. I opened some packs that I got and packs that I opened personally. I put them into the game and I actually pulled 3 Raladon V Max. So I say, why not? I traded some packs and I built the deck and I've been having fun with it. And even before I built it in PTCGO, I thought I may consider building it if, prices go down after all the hype and the set get legal and, prices settle a bit. I might grab myself copies of the V-Max. The V, there's a V there. It's not very attractive according to, the experts and stuff like that. They actually recommend the Raladon V, the full metal type that came along in Champion's Path, I believe. The Dragon one says during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon's attack do 30 less damage, but you have to attack to get that. You really want the VMAX out to get going, and the metal one from Champion's Path is actually the better choice. So moving along to number 9, some people might be quite surprised by this placement, but number 9 on my list is the Rayquaza V-Max, and I'll also include the V when I'm talking about a V-Max, right? So the Rayquaza V-Max comes in at a 320 HP. That's pretty standard for a V-Max. You're looking at 300 to 320, regular, and then you have the big boys like Eternatus 340, right? But Rayquaza has a very beautiful effect, an ability called Azure Pulse. Once during your turn, you may discard your hand to draw 3 cards. You understand what I'm saying? And to tell you the truth, I look at some gameplay of it. I probably work a proxy with the Rayquaza V-Max, and I found personally that the deck is quite slow. I'm not sure how well it will do. I am looking forward to see the performances of the deck in the tournaments that I know that is happening. There's some fan base ladders that go up and stuff. Chill TCG is one. Big up to Chill TCG. I will be looking at them to see what is the count of the occurrence of people using the Rayquaza V-Max in those tournaments. Just mentioning the attack now. For 1 fire and 1 lightning, max burst 20 plus damage. You may discard any amount of basic fire energy or any amount of basic lightning energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 80 more damage for each card you discard in this way. Now, to be honest, Rayquaza V-Max was cutting it real thin to make my list. Because of its speed and my personal deck, you'll hear a bit more about that later down in the list. It's quite fast, and I wouldn't want to place my fast hitting deck for something that is much slower. I don't see that decision making sense. All right, so but the deck is fun to play, at least in watching some of the games. So it made the list because of another card that makes the list here, but it made the list because I am actually interested and considering having the deck. All right, and that I think is testament for it to make the list. All right, the V, just to mention the V, 210 HP, Dragon Pulse, so 40 damage. Discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Yeah, it might help you mill some energy for another card we go and talk about. Spiral Burst, you may discard. You're really taking on this. You may discard up to 2 basic from okay, this attack is 18 more for each card you discard in this way. So the Rayquaza V could only discard up to 2. So the max damage the V could do is 180, while the V Max extends the effect and has it and could go beyond that, and it could really knock out anything in one hit. All right, just to mention, this card is coupled in with this number here, with this number 9, with the Rayquaza, just to mention it. And it's the reason why the Rayquaza make the list. The Stormy Mountains Stadium trainer card. Once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for a basic lightning Pokemon or basic dragon Pokemon and put it onto their bench. Then that player shuffles their deck. I believe this is a very useful card. It won't make the list by itself, but I believe it makes sense to mention it with the Rayquaza to just show the kind of support that come in the set along with the Rayquaza. And we're moving right along to number 8. Number 8 for Carib Boy is the Zoroark, 120 HP with the ability Phantom Transformation. Once during your turn, you may choose a stage 1 Pokemon except Zoroark from your discard pile. If you do, discard this Pokemon and all attached cards and put the chosen Pokemon in its place. You understand? So, and Night Days for 70, but you're really looking at that. I look at some deck lists and some gameplay for this card, and well, before I even look at the gameplay, I was excited about this card. This is one of my favorite Pokemon in all the generations. I like the premise of it, how it is disguised itself as one of your party members and all of that. It's very tricky and very fun to play with in the video games, and I see this card as very fun. I actually pick up a couple a reverse rare in this and a reverse rare in the Zoroark. So I have it, and I will play this deck if I get the cards, right? And that is why it's so, some people might say, hi, how does it make the list? But listen, I like fun things. There's a kind of teeth head thing, as we like to say in Trinidad and Tobago. I will be so excited to actually play this deck. I will definitely make it in the PTCGO online. But and once I get the cards, I will probably test it out for funds in real life as well. Moving right along, for number 7, making the Carib Boy list for the most playable cards of Evolving Skies is Caboo V Max earlier with a massive 230 HP. Here the ability. This Pokemon may have up to 2 Pokemon tools attached to it. If it loses this ability, discard Pokemon tools from it until only one remains. I so excited to actually try this deck. I will definitely make it on PTCG online, and if I do get the opportunity, I wouldn't mind making this in real life and having some fun with it. I must mention one of the support cards that we'll definitely play with this. This is a favorite style for me personally in TCG. I come from Yu-Gi-Oh! And I used to love to play off-meta decks like burn decks and hand and deck destruction, disruption kind of business. I had fun with those kind of builds, and this here is one of my first encounters of a really good hand and deck destruction kind of thing that I feel like that I would have fun playing, and that is now the support card for the Garbodor is Spirit Mask. It's an item trainer card. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if it is knocked out, your opponent discards a card from their hand. And there are other cards in recent sets that you could couple with this. Because remember the Garbodor holding 2 Pokemon tools earlier, right? I saw some gameplay and I'm very excited to build this digitally. And I definitely will be testing this out. So that is why this make my list at number 7. At number 6, we have Ludicolo. Ludicolo is an interesting card, and I will definitely have some copies. A build I saw that uses Ludicolo with Zacian V. Now here, Ludicolo ability, Enthusiastic Dance. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may use this ability. During this turn, your basic Pokemon attacks do 100 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance. Here now. That is a mad scene. I have 4 Zacian there put on in my reserve. I will definitely get the Ludicolo cards and test this out. This looks like so much bacchanal to hit. So that means Zacian will be hitting 330. That knocking out almost every VMAX in the game. Save for the big boy Eternatus. But the deck, of course, running bacchanal thing like Galarian Zigzagoon to knock that little 10. I will definitely play around with Ludicolo and I'll be looking out for more builds. But the one I have in mind is with Zacian V. Alright, so moving along, we have at number 5, the reason why Rayquaza is on this list, we have the Dynamotor Fluffy. Right, this Fluffy has 90 HP searchable with Level Ball, of course. But the Dynamotor ability, once during your turn, you may attach a Lightning Energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Even if I don't play Rayquaza, I will definitely have a playset of Fluffy in my reserves to play around with if I so choose. This card is amazing. I saw some lists where this card made people's choice number 1 and all kind of thing, and I don't give them wrong at all. This card is amazing. I believe this card will revitalize lightning decks. Only time will tell. We will see what's going on, but it's Fluffy real bad. Right? Moving right along, we have at number 4. This might surprise some people. I kind of even now calling out the list, wondering if it could beat the Fluffy, but I believe it will be a very good card, especially because a card like this has just rotated or will be rotating very soon, and that is at number 4 we have Pump Caboo. With 60 HP, it has the ability Pumpkin Pit. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may discard a stadium in play. For up until now, we've only had the Marshadow. I forget which set it come from. I'll probably put up an image of it. When you bench it, you could hold it there in your bench, and when you're ready, the effect is you discard it, and it destroys a stadium in play. We have things like Power Plant and all kind of bacchanal, and worse yet now, Part to the Peak, which running in some decks right now, people playing around with it, and there's not really any stadium destruction going around. And I believe, I could be wrong, or they could correct me. Don't afraid to correct me in the comments if so. I believe that this Pump Caboo is one of the only cards in the standard format that will be legal from the 10th of September that will be able to mash up stadiums. I believe this is a staple card that everybody should have, if not in a deck, have in your reserve. I don't have a playset, so all you do is know the timing. That is why it's at number 4, because I believe it will be very important and it's considered a staple. Moving right along. At number 3, we have Suicune V. Alright, I've also seen this card made some people's number 1. Fleet-footed is the ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may draw a card. It sounds kind of simple, like one card by take, but it has 2 retreat. Air Balloon, still valid. This card could be a pivot in almost any deck, and a lot of options it could be in too, and it always giving you an extra draw. That is it. That is it. And I believe, now I don't think you will want to have more than one copy. Again, if I'm wrong, or you could correct me if you have more than one copy, you can switch it. And I don't know, if you switching multiple copies, you should be able to draw for each one. It doesn't say you can only use this card once per turn. If this Pokemon, yes, so you can, if you have multiple copies of Suicune and you have switch in your hand and one have Air Balloon and all of that bacchanal, you could switch out and keep drawing. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but definitely I believe this could be a staple in a lot of decks, and it can come in clutch. What is the attack? Blizzard Rondo. This attack does 20 more damage for each benched Pokemon, yours and your opponent. That ain't bad at all. Imagine you're fighting a Eternatus, and Eternatus have a 8 bench. You have a full 5 bench. That is some good lash there. That is some real good lash. So Suicune is making it at our number 3 spot. Now before I go on to our top 2, and you see my top 2 cards, I want to give some notable mentions. Alright. I have 4 notable mentions here. Notable mention in 4th place. In notable mentions, I have the Salamence, the dragon Pokemon, with intimidating roar. Once during your turn, you may have your opponent switch their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. And for 1 fire and 1 water, fierce dragon 100 plus. If your opponent's active Pokemon already has damage counters on it, this card does 120 more damage. Earlier, that is bacchanal. 220 damage for anything. I am not sure of any deck list for the Salamence, but I love dragons. And I look at this one and I say I will look out for a deck list for this card, and I probably will build it and play around with it. But because I ain't sure and it doesn't look too playable right now in my limited eyes, I put it in the notable mentions, the honorable mentions for now. Alright, honorable mention, 3rd place, we have the 3 Galarian birds. Galarian Articuno, Galarian Zapdos, and Galarian Moltres. Now all 3 of them have a similar attack where once you play it from your hand onto the bench, during your turn, you can attach up to 2 energies of its respective type from your hand to that Pokemon. That is energy acceleration. That could mean real trouble for real decks. And I believe I didn't see it. I actually collect any birds, but we're going to talk about my top collecting cards in another video. But to really hold to play, I don't think it would make my list in cards that I want to play really bad. It could be options, but definitely making my honorable mentions for sure, because I could consider it. Alright, in honorable mention place number 2, we have Zinnias Resolve, a support trainer. You can play this card only if you discard 2 other cards from your hand. Draw a card for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play. Now, I find that is real bacchanal. That could be real bacchanal, but I think it is a card that probably won't go in every deck. You see that Rayquaza deck? I feel people might play around with that and other cards that you want to actually discard. You see also Zoroark. If you're making a Zoroark deck, I believe this card will go pretty well. You want your stage 1s to go into the discard pile so your Zoroark could have access to them to transform. And I believe I ain't really sort out in my mind how I might want to use Zinnias Resolve. I like the character. I think the card is very useful, but I wasn't sure how to put it in the top 10. So that's why it made my honorable mentions number 2. In first place for the honorable mentions, I have Glaceon V Max. Now, some people might be vexed with me for placing this outside of my top 10, but I mean, I couldn't entirely leave it out. That is why it's in my top spot for honorable mentions. Glaceon V Max has the ability Crystal Veil. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's V Max except Glaceon V Max. So it's blocking anything but itself. For 1 water energy and 2 colorless, max Icicle for 150. This attack also does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So you see, hitting the bench, that is a serious thing, especially in the current format. Beating up the bench is like, that is a theme right now. Oh my god. Yeah, that is a theme right now. So Glaceon V Max is a real nice card. I see the appeal in it, but I don't think it's a card that I personally want to run down to build. I probably will if after I build the things that I want to build in the PTCG online, I will probably try to gather the cards to have this deck to probably play around if I want to kill some time. But it's definitely not a deck I might run down in real life at all to play, if ever. Right? But I know some people really like this card and were actually building it. So good luck to you. And I still think it's a great card. That is why it's number 1 in honorable mention. So back to the main list. Coming in at number 2. This might surprise people. I'm sure some people expecting this to be number 1. But Emporium V Max is my number 2. Coming in with the ability Dark Signal. Olya, me had to read this out, you know. Boss. When it touched the bench and evolved from Emporium V, boss's orders. Yeah. Boss's orders. Why this card? Let me read it for you. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. You may switch. Boss's orders. Yeah. Boss's orders. Oh, you could only have 4 boss's orders in the deck. 4? But I have about, you could have up to 8 now. But I mean, you probably won't take 4 Emporium V and V Max in your deck, right? But Emporium V Max makes mine number 2 because I definitely need copies of this to take into my decks. 2 of my decks, in fact, my Single Strike Urshifu as well as my Eternatus. I'm not letting go my Eternatus yet all year. Eternatus have to mash up the place in our tournament. Just to mention, the Emporium V has a Moonlight Blade, which is quite similar to the V-Max attack. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 80 more damage. Max Darkness does 160 of base, just damage. And the V, if it has any damage counters on it, it does 80 more. So that 160 it's doing. And you probably would have, if you end up in a situation where you have to attack with Emporium V, you will be attaching a Single Strike Energy. Hopefully it's in a Single Strike Energy deck with Houndooms and thing. And bow 80 plus 80, because you get the 20 damage with the Houndoom. That 160 is doing 180 damage off the bat. Right? And when it evolves into Emporium V Max, it's doing that same 180. So the V and the V Max pretty much doing the same damage, right? But you really hear what the V Max to attack. You want a boss's orders. You understand what I'm saying? You want it as an option. Alright, so that's my number 2. And coming in first place, number 1 playable card that Carib Boy wants to play is Medicham V Olya. I know some of you surprised right now, but here what's going on. Why this card is my number 1 is that I am burning. I don't have a copy of this card. This card is already in my main deck. I just burning to use that Yoga Loop in a game. Put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by this attack, take another turn. All I hear is take another turn, dog. You just can't use skip Pokemon checkup here. If one of your Pokemon use Yoga Loop during your last turn, this attack can't be used. You can't use the effect 2 times in a row, right? I mean, it's only fair. But Olya, this makes my number 1 because I just burdened for one chance to make an epic win or epic comeback. Worse yet, with that Yoga Loop. I don't have my copy of Medicham V. I just can't wait to create an opportunity to do that move Olya, right? So, tell me what Olya think about my list. If Olya have a list of your own, share it in the comments. Feel free, Olya, bust up that comment section. Tell me all I talk stupidness or like what I said. Just mash it up in that comment section. Beat up that like button. If you like Carib Boy and want to support Carib Boy, that is the biggest thing you could do. Just beat up that like button for me. Make sure you like this video. And if you're here for the first time, I want to thank you for being here. And I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you won't miss a video. Olya, this was Carib Boy's Evolving Skies top 10 playable list, and I hope all you enjoy it. Carib Boy out.